welcome back. It's time for us to get into some other conversations this morning, and we're looking at self-improvement this morning. But Happy, before we get to self-improvement, last night's episode of the hairdressers, I mean, the last few seconds, I like the part where, I was telling Vivian earlier, I like the part where Gifty and Magdalene were going at it, and then the way Gifty put Magdalene in her place, you know, and says, it's not every day Bia Sandan, kind of thing. And I think that, you know, it's a good reminder for supporting friends' businesses, friends' enterprises, you know. The person is your friend. Don't think it's my chance to take advantage of you. Think of it as my chance to support you.
And also not taking advantage of people and of the situations and access that you have in life. A lot of people take advantage and take things for granted, really. You know, so, and really that relationship is generally a commentary on that. How we take the things in our lives for granted. Even Honorable herself, you know, taking her status as an MP's wife, someone who is a wife of someone in power at a certain point, taking that status for granted and now bearing the brunt of it, because clearly she and her husband didn't plan for when they were going to be in power.
I know.
You know.
I know. And so we're going to be talking this morning about how to develop relevant skills, right? Now, the challenge with a lot of education in Ghana today is that we're giving a lot of academic knowledge. You know, the book knowledge is fantastic, but many employers, you know, have a complaint that when the people have finished and they even have a first class, you realize that they are doing a lot of skills training on the job, you know, and so there's a challenge, and that chasm between skill and knowledge has to be, you know, closed up. We have the perfect person to help us to get into this conversation this morning. Hannah Abrahams. She's a pastor, an author, a teens and youth educator. All right, and she's right here with us. No stranger to the set.
At all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Wonderful. It's good to have you here.
Okay, good.
How many books have you churned out now?
She's a prolific,
because
author.
When she arrives on the set, okay, at one point she has 3 books. Then the next time she shows up, 3 books. Oh, no, I have 3 more. Then another time, then there's more.
So how many do we have now?
Update. We need an update.
Well, we have a new baby. A new book
Didn't
called...
you see
There we go.
It is never late.
It is never late.
That's the title.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we spoke about this.
Yes,
book.
we did.
And it's been birthed.
It's been birthed. It's published. It's out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so why it's never late?
Many people reach stages in their life where they feel they have hit a roadblock. Personally, I am an environmentalist, and I went into ministry because my husband was a missionary. So in traveling, I realized that there was a halt on my academic dreams. Yeah. So at a point in time, I felt I had slowed down on my academic pursuits.
You're gunning for a PhD.
I know, right? I was actually wanting to be the pro-vice chancellor in one of the top universities. Okay. It was my dream as a young student.
Okay.
And so suddenly I felt like I had deviated from my academic dreams. And then in searching through the scriptures, I found many people with similar examples of delayed activities in their life. And I was inspired divinely to come up with an affirmation that is never late, because God helped me to look at other areas of my life, and I'd actually made more progress in different spheres, in different areas, which meant that I felt I was late in academia, but I'd actually gained more experience in many other areas.
Wow.
And that's a brilliant context for our conversation, because we're talking about developing relevant skill sets. You know, so first of all, let's just put into context that we throw the term around a lot. Skill sets, skills, you know, what does it mean when we say a skill set?
Okay. When we talk of skill sets, it's usually a range of personal and professional skills, which could be natural or acquired in the learning process or in the learning curve. So like we started with, in our educational setting, we go to school to gain knowledge on various topics.
Yeah.
But what do we do with that knowledge? Knowledge is one thing, and then the skill that you need to implement that knowledge for a profession, a job, a role, or to effect a change is the skill we are talking about. So when we talk of a skill set, what are the various skills you have, the range of skills one person has that can help him do a particular job or perform a particular task or bring about a change in a particular setting.
Okay, so just very quickly, can we have some examples of such skills that we are talking about?
Okay.
Maybe 3 or 4 examples of skills that, you know.
Various skills exist. Let me go to personal skills. So personal skills in our life and work and school, we pick them up. So we are talking of communication, collaboration, we are talking of critical thinking, creative thinking, we are talking of leadership, flexibility, we are talking of social skills, we are talking of productivity, we are talking of emotional intelligence. These are all personal skills. Then when we come to professional skills, these are usually technical or hard skills. So you are in media, managing cameras, you are in geology, you are able to do, what do you call it, delineation of ores, you're able to do sounding. These are professional, technical competences. So what are the various skills one person has, both at the personal level and at the professional level?
Right. Wonderful. Okay, so now let's talk about, because we're talking about relevant skill sets. And you mentioned, Hannah, that some of these skills are natural, so you have them naturally, you may be born with them, and then others you acquire, either through your educational journey, your environment, you know. So when we say relevant skill sets, let's now put it into context. What are relevant skill sets?
Good.
Because now we know what skill sets are, we have examples of the skills. What does it mean for a skill set to be relevant?
So a relevant skill set is a skill set that is needed to perform a particular function. This is a media house. What are the relevant skill sets in a media house? I am a compliance enforcement officer. It may not be relevant here if I want to be speaking to people unless I'm doing advocacy or education. So there's a relevant skill set in every country, every environment, and every job setting. So you have to define relevance based on location, place, and based on the need. So every company has a need. We are talking of Galamsey. What are the skill sets needed in Galamsey? So you need environmentalists, those who can do remediation, law enforcement officers. Those are the relevant skill sets. You may not need a makeup artist in Galamsey. But when you come to breast cancer, you need medical personnel, you need people who can do advocacy, education. So relevance has to do with the job, has to do with the need, has to do with what you want to see changed.
Okay.
How do we go about acquiring these skill sets if we already decide that, okay, I need to know X, Y, Z? You know, how do we go about acquiring those skill sets?
Okay. Many of these skill sets, interestingly, we pick along the line by observing from home, school, friends. But I always say that it's always good to do an inventory. What do you have? Because many people are picking up certificates, degrees, and skills that are no longer relevant to their lives and will not even be relevant 5 years from now, or will not be relevant in crisis, economic crisis, or like we had COVID. Many people were out of job. So to acquire skill sets, first take an inventory. 2, define the need. What is the need in the society, in the job market, or in the family for which these skill sets will be relevant? And then give yourself a timeline. So in the next 5 years, data analysts will be highly sought after. So once you have identified the need, and then have a strong why you must be in that particular field. So if my why becomes my goal or my purpose, 1, for employability, 2, to be relevant, 2, to be an expert in the field, to create a niche. Once I have defined my why, the next thing you need to do is, now you have a goal. 2, get mentors, get people already in the field who are doing well that you can look up to, who can train you. Read books. There's so much knowledge out there today thanks to the internet. You can just Google, it's a Google away, and then you get an answer to all the things you want to do. The next thing, get training. There is formal and informal training. People are not willing to invest in becoming better people. For example, we all speak. Nobody feels I can speak. But to become a communication expert, you must be willing to pay extra to develop that skill to communicate professionally. So get skill, then now practice. Whichever skill, you may get initial training, but if you don't use it, you lose it. So practice, practice, practice.
You lose it.
Then get feedback. What do people say with respect to your ability to deliver in line with that particular skill?
Yeah.
If you put these things in place, definitely you would be improving and you will become very relevant in the particular sphere of influence you want to enter.
Now, we've spoken about how one can acquire skills along the way. I have a question. How do you recognize the skills that you already have? Because a lot of people have skills, but they don't even know that they have those skills, and so they're not even able to hone them, let alone apply them.
Okay, very true. You can recognize by one, asking friends, asking people close by, what do you think I'm good at? And people tell you, oh, you like smiling, you like motivating, you like encouraging.
Yeah.
Number two, you could also offer your services voluntarily to people. That's why we encourage students to do internships, work for free, volunteering. It helps you discover things that are in it that you never knew existed. I knew I loved storytelling, but I didn't think I could write. But in 3 years, I have 7 publications, 5 titles. But that was not what I thought I could do. I just loved telling stories. I loved, oh, this is good news. Can somebody else hear it? So it was a natural skill, but it now had to be developed because writing is a whole new world. I mean, that's Apioko's area. It's another way. I had to learn English. I had to learn books, read books on writing, and I'm like, the grammar there, I'm like, oh, seriously, this is it's not my sphere. But it's a skill set I had to develop for what I do. So relevant skill set is the area, the environment, the need. So when people tell you that you are good at this, then you realize that I am good at this, but you may not be a professional in that area. So develop it. That is where the problem comes. People feel like, oh, I can do it. And they rest.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
So they are mediocre. They are just normal.
So I had an interesting experience the last couple of days. I've had an interesting experience. So the first thing that happened was I got this, you know, when you go to some of our shops, they have these like cabinets and things that you assemble, right?
Yeah.
So I bought one, and then it was lying there for, you know, overnight. And then I was just thinking to myself, and I was thinking, you know, get somebody to come and assemble it. But then I was like, but these things,
they're DIY
it's
things.
a DIY thing.
Very
You know, why don't I just sit down, give myself patience, just sit down, give myself, follow the instructions, and then assemble it, you know, yourself. It took me, this is a TV stand. It took me the better part of maybe 2 hours. I was done. The thing was assembled. It was there. And this shocked my girlfriend.
She hadn't seen that.
No,
at all. Even you hadn't seen it.
So yesterday, I was driving with her in the evening, and then suddenly I had a flat tire. And then she panicked and said, what are we going to do? I said, what are we going to do? I'll fix that tire. And she was like, you can fix the tire? I said, but you know,
It's a skill.
it's a skill.
It is.
And sometimes you have the ability to do certain things, but we don't even pay attention to those things. You know, I realize I have this tinkering mind that likes to figure out how
But
things work.
are you good at puzzles?
I love puzzles.
So it's the same principle.
Yeah. You know, I just like to figure out how things work.
But that's a skill.
And
It's
for
critical
me,
thinking.
For me, I
ideation.
can't rest if I don't know how it works.
Same here.
Once it comes to my curiosity, right, and I want to find out how it works, I will not fall. I can't fall asleep till
I'll have sleepless nights.
But that's
Yeah.
a critical thinking skill.
You know,
You
so-
question things, you try to find solutions. So in the broad brackets, it's a critical thinking skill.
Okay.
And then you are willing to solve it. Many people, problem solving skills, many people just don't have these skills or have them, but having quantified them
Okay.
or having taken note of them. So when they go for interviews and they ask, what are the skills you have? They are like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yet they are rich with all these skills.
Yeah.
But because they haven't taken an inventory of their life, what they can do, and actually document, I insist on documentation. Write the things you can do and surprise yourself. And you realize that, oh, I
can
could
do a
actually
lot more than you
a
thought
lot
you
more
knew
than
you
I
could
thought
do.
I could do.
Yeah.
And then now value how much and professionalism you have with respect to the various skills.
And then see what is billable, billable skills, right?
Yeah. So I was going to ask you how to then monetize your skills, because it looks as though, regardless of how much knowledge you have, if you don't have requisite skills, it's people are looking for skills now.
Yeah.
You know, how do we monetize these skills?
Who is willing to pay for that skill?
Okay.
That should be your first question before you think of the money.
Okay.
Starts with who is willing to pay and how much are they willing to pay.
Is there even a market for it?
Is there a market for it? There is a market for every skill. That one is true.
Okay.
I was just going to tell you, your TV stand, when you finish fixing, did you pay yourself? You see? Yet you would have brought in somebody and had given him maybe 50 or 100 Ghana because you never thought it was a skill and you didn't value it. But you should have paid yourself.
So I've saved myself a good 100 Ghana.
Did you note that down?
By doing the thing myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when we learn to see how these skills would save us money or can earn us money, we now improve these skills and then market our skills to people who are willing to pay for it. Today you have people who, when it's an engagement, they offer ushering services and they are being charged for it, where before it was friends and family. If it's speaking, people speak and are earning money. People are earning millions to speak. I mean, last time I checked the rates people get for speaking for an hour, I'm like, wow. But others are speaking on the roadside every day. They are talking about all the economic problems and they are not earning any money for it. So you can market your skills and get money from it if you know the value, if you are willing to invest in it, develop it, and become an expert in the field. People will pay you.
I'm sure people want to get in touch with you. How do you do that?
People should get in touch with you.
On social media networks, I'm Hannah Abraham Sapia. You can get in touch with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Fantastic. And then my number 054706 4982. That's my number.
All right. You can also hit me up on Twitter at KwekuDavidGH. I fix TV stands.
And Apioko at Apioko. I write anything and everything you want me to. I can fix TV stands and I can paint your room too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do that too.
You can hit us up.
Interior decoration.
That's lovely. Well, let's take a look at entertainment highlights. We'll be back.